Hello, it's Scott and Rita. Um, Cosmic Dialogue, somewhat. I think we're going to try some channeling today, or at least bringing in some cosmic messages. So, how do you want to start?
Well, do you have a question for our audience?
Oh, maybe I do. Okay.
Okay.
My question is about healing. And what can we learn, or just a question, maybe not something like that they would have like a grandiose answer, but a question about healing. And just the nature of healing. What our audience would have to say about the nature of healing in this realm as compared to theirs. What can we learn?
Interesting. My eye is twitching now that you've asked the question and had a little heart palpitation.
Oh.
Like somebody doesn't want this answer out there. But what I was feeling was a sense of the physical versus the spirit, and how we always want our physical body. We want to help our physical body, and that's our focus. And we want to skip the soul, which is where the illness is, where it originates. And if we address it there, that's when the physical body shows the results. That's when what we call healing shows up. But the healing already occurred.
Hmm.
Does that bring up another question or a follow-up question?
Maybe just for like this time right now. Um, Addictions we're so prone to addiction with our bodies and this bodily attachment we have. Are there any issues, perhaps, I mean, of like any spiritual addictions? Does those fall away, or do
I just felt them laugh, just laugh uproariously when you said spiritual addictions.
wonderful?
But go ahead with the rest of your question.
Well, I wonder if this is just something in the nature of our bodies, solely just our attachment to a body, or if there perhaps is something even spiritually, or a twisting of a spiritual component that allows for the opportunity for addiction to come into play. And if that's something that you've had to learn through as well, that even spiritually there are certain desires or certain um, tendencies that lead to addiction, or if that is something totally even not of the realm of spirit.
Oh, you can have addictions as a spirit. It doesn't require a physical body. Emotional addictions continue as long as you want to keep them. But all addictions are about skipping over the feelings that they placate or that they numb out. So the physical, being in the physical allows the opportunity to skip over your spiritual self completely and just focus on the physical. So it's, in some ways, there are more opportunities to have addictions and a greater variety of addictions as a physical being and body. Do you understand what I mean?
Yes. I the point that you made about addictions occur when we skip over our feeling of our feelings.
Mm-hmm.
That we're more prone to them if we decide we don't want to feel those things
Yeah,
emotionally.
that's the entire purpose of an addiction.
To cover that,
Mm-hmm.
to allow us to give us the illusion that we're skipping over it.
Yeah.
Are there other um, forms of addiction or forms of um, is there ever desire, even in the spirit world, spiritual realm, to skip over a certain um, situation, feeling,
Oh, yeah.
where that also comes into play?
Right. For sure. The difference is that your spirit shows the results sometimes immediately and sometimes almost immediately. So you can connect the dots more easily. And your spirit shows, even when you're physical, we can see how it affects your spirit body.
So if you feel fear, perhaps that shows up in a very apparent way.
You can see it just
You
flooding out of a person, either just outward or directed directly at someone else, and you can see their physical body be affected by that fear. You can see all the emotions.
because there are new senses, there are additional senses, different
Mm-hmm.
wavelengths, light.
Yeah, your visual is different as just a spirit. And you can develop that while you're in your physical body. It's just that people are not taught how. And Rita's feeling, I want that sense to be activated.
I'm feeling that too.
Mm. And you have it in a way you can feel, you can feel when somebody's in fear, or you can feel it around you. The two of you are sensitive, and you're fine tuning it, but you can get to the point where you can actually see the energy coming out of people with your it'll be your spiritual vision, but you'll be aware of it.
I feel like I am starting to develop a little bit of that. I don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, even a little bit for me feels like a huge step, which is amazing. But I know that this is just a beginning portion.
Mm-hmm.
So it can feel very grandiose, but I don't know how much room there is for, ultra, ultra, ultra grandiose on, a millionth level. Um, even when you feel those first steps. So mine right now is starting with like the swirling feelings that I
Mm-hmm.
can around my head,
Mhm.
and then I get information. It's almost a knowing, and it's a I'm in a room or a large building where I just sense I can sense a quiet fear or panic that's just surrounds me, but that also that knowing and that feeling also protects me. It's
Mhm.
interesting. That was a very interesting feeling. Protects me and also adds um, this glint of positivity, where I that positivity actually shines through more than the fear to me,
Mhm.
and it's almost like an awakening. Like, oh, so this is what people are now feeling that they haven't allowed themselves to feel.
The fear, you mean?
Fear, perhaps, yes.
Mhm.
A collective fear. It's almost a collective sigh, like it's a release.
Mhm.
Um, and once I acknowledge it as a release, then I see this like a shimmering light coming through.
Yes.
I
And
sense it and feel it.
but they are not.
Right.
Mhm. Yeah. Because to feel a feeling is to release it, to actually feel it, to not be projecting it out at people. That's not really feeling it. But when you do really feel it, there is some release. It doesn't mean you won't let more in. You can choose to do that too, but
And also, I think it took me to be sort of like an outside observer, where I feel like maybe I felt this fear before and haven't really. I don't want to be arrogant about feeling fear and moving through it. I have no idea what me and my physical body will actually experience. Because as soon as I say that I've passed something, I probably will feel it again. Um, but it's interesting. Sometimes I feel like just an observer, enough of an observer that I can only just sense what's around me. I'm not attached or plugged into to the point where I feel it myself, but I can sense it in others. And that certain attachment, whether I don't give it any sort of control over me or good or bad, positive, negative evaluation, is when I start sensing the feelings and the release and the tingling and the knowledge.
mhm. So just a curiosity when you feel that fear coming out of somebody you actually have a conversation with or connect with, are you able to keep that objectivity or do you get plugged in more?
Um, I don't necessarily get plugged in more, but I my communication with another person actually just comes from compassion and connection rather than fear. So if I am compelled to speak to someone, it's only because I feel like all I want to do is reach out with a connection or compassion. Put
Mhm.
aside um and not agree with them or disagree, but just sort of like even if it's just a hi, how are you doing? Not to soak it up, but just to see if someone's willing to show me their pulse. So,
And so if they tell you how they're doing and it's not good and it's just like a um, dispensing of their story, you're still able to keep that compassion.
lately, yes.
Hmm.
Um, yes, lately, yes. And
And we're asking this question because Rita goes back and forth in that ability, and it seems that if there's a group, it's harder to let go of. If it's just one person, it's easier for her.
I would say, yeah, for me, it's the same way.
Mm.
Easier for a person. I had a an old friend call me up and talk about going to rehab for an addiction.
Mm.
And there were things that she was talking about that I thought were just outlandish, and things that she held strong beliefs, and um, just the way to compassion for her was to say, oh, I also have strongly held beliefs, so I can't give you any guidance on your own ship that you want to sail, however you want to sail it. But I'm here in support, and I care for you. That's all I had to say, and um,
That's that's perfect until she asks for more than that.
oh, she did. She asked for a ride to the airport, and I said no. No, I apologize. That's kind of an aside. Um, but yeah, there was a little shift of awareness. Um,
And so we want to point out, back to the topic of addiction, getting plugged into other people's feelings is also an addiction that you and Rita were taught was a necessary thing to do. And so you're breaking that addiction.
yes.
So there's so many variations of emotional addictions and behavioral addictions. And they're so nuanced that and layered that you can go on and on and on with releasing addictions. And then your physical body will show the result of releasing that, because it's already happened. The healing has already happened in your soul.
So long as I allow that release to happen in me, rather than taking on or evaluating or feeling that I am somehow special for being able to listen. So because as soon as I feel like I am special or called to listen, or that it's a mission for me to listen, then I've lost that.
Well, you just have another addiction.
I have an addiction to wanting to be needed. So
Or to be special, or
yeah,
it's almost an achievement.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I could see myself kind of flowing into it, especially with someone who talked to me earlier. Like, oh, wow, I'm the person that she feels she trusts so much to talk about these issues.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought, no, it's an attraction to, it's an addictive attraction as well to a possible light that they are seeking. And so I have to like make sure that I know the difference. So,
Mm. Yeah, she might be telling more than you. I don't know.
yeah, yeah.
Some people love their addictions.
And also I have to recognize like I have my own certain bodily, um, physical addictions, and that could be one of them, or at least one of them I'm feeling through, is that feeling to be needed, that want to be needed, to be a comforter, to be a caretaker, something I'm feeling through and releasing. But if our souls are pure, and correct me if I'm wrong, if our souls are pure and we're more connected to our soul, those things, those feelings, and those reactions and realities are more immediate. We recognize and move through things because we have immediate um, perception on many levels. More than we do in this physical body and with our limited senses, perhaps. Or we can choose, or can we choose?
Are you saying, or are you asking, you have the ability to sense when something has shifted in your soul and therefore a greater ability to move through addictions?
I'm just wondering if innately we as humans actually have the capacity to choose, completely choose if we wish to focus on that spiritual aspect.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
For sure. Because a false belief is that is all over the planet is that you are your body. And that's very far from the truth. But we want to point out with the addiction to caretaking and all the other things that you labeled it, underneath that is a desire, a real desire for things to be made right. And it's the behaviors are sometimes a misguided effort to have more truth be shed on a situation or on other people's behavior. And so we want to, that's part of the nuances. The desire is good, but the behavior maybe is misguided or dysfunctional. And it's an opportunity to look at the desire and feel how intense that desire is, instead of wanting a situation or something outside of you to change for that desire to be filled. Just feel that desire.
You have a desire to manipulate an outcome. That's whenever you have that desire to manipulate an outcome, you're not feeling
right.
that desire.
Yeah. And then it's also a demand on someone else to change.
So much of healing in our physical realm isn't about healing at all. It's almost about a demand for an outcome.
Yeah. Very good. Yes.
A demand for an outcome to our bodies so that we can reach a normal state, which is really one where we can continue an addiction, perhaps.
Yeah. You want to skip over the feelings. It's very unloving to oneself, to the people that you come in contact with, to the world as a whole, because it perpetuates that addiction to have things made better without actually feeling your feelings. So actually your soul deteriorates. Which then will have the effect on your physical body.
We demand healing externally so that we don't have to change.
Right. That's what it comes down to. This is a giant opportunity in the world today to change.
Yes. And to feel.
And think about the gift of this opportunity, where it's not like an immediate threat right now, but it's right there in everyone's face, this virus. And it's not threatening very many people as statistically, but it's right there for everybody to feel everything it brings up. Think of how loving that is.
Hmm. Just as you said that, I like multiple leaves just started swirling around the balcony here at my apartment.
Hmm.
And that's why I think that also is just like an opportunity for us to notice a gift.
Mm-hmm. Right. And most people are just feeling like victims. How could this happen? What so awful. I'm so afraid. I have to do all these things that are bad for everybody else. That is, it's brings up the selfishness, and all of that's just going to deteriorate their souls further rather than seeing the gift.
I imagine we'd be in a very different place if we all saw the opportunity to feel through fear as an immense gift.
Yes.
Here. And now we can really evolve spiritually while on earth
Right.
if we just chose fear as an opportunity to feel.
Right.
It almost feels freeing and also even healing just saying that.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and people who are quarantining themselves, perfect opportunity to just start meditating and feeling. What could be more perfect than that?
A time just for quiet or even not so quiet reflection on your own if you're self quarantining.
Mm-hmm.
Feeling through feelings, having a small pause to
Yeah.
allow. It's like taking a breath,
It could be.
a spiritual breath.
Mm-hmm. We don't see we see very few people responding in that way.
Hmm.
Massive opportunity to heal right now. That's me. That's Rita laughing.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is. It's a massive. Yeah.
It is almost as if like there I have to just sort of lift my gaze. If I lift my gaze to a little higher vision from the lower franticness, the ultra consumerism, and if I lift my vision a little bit to I guess just the quiet that surrounds this. And there is this, to me, this noticeable quiet if I do lift my vision up. Um, that to me, and it's very simple. I feel like I just have to shift into this new space. So almost like when the trees decided they were going to lift themselves out of their physical bodies, as if not to say we're not here for your. Oh, here's a new thing. We're not necessarily here for your physical oxygen, but now we're lifting ourselves for this spiritual sustenance. Find us there as well.
Yes. We were waiting for you to come to articulate that. we felt what you were concluding there. And that's what you described earlier as not getting tied in. It's compassion, it's loving, but it's not feeding the addiction.
Right. So this is another level. I was sort of this. The physical level is one thing where you actually realize that there's a separation happening. Where when I go through it, I'm separating myself from this physical realm, this physical addictions. That's one level. And even when the trees kind of like lifted themselves out, and I could no longer really use them as a, my own scratching post to not feel my feelings on this realm anymore. That was one level. But then this next level was lifting my gaze to actually see where this energy had lifted itself up to.
Right.
After I felt through this other layer, knowing that they lifted themselves up into this spiritual realm that was totally accessible to me.
Yes, and that they trusted you to be able to find it.
And it was a choice to lift my gaze to follow that.
Most definitely.
But I had to feel through the separation.
Yes. Right. You could have felt, why are they leaving me? What did I do? What?
Oh, I did. I did.
Yeah, so you felt through it.
Yes.
But you could have stayed there.
True.
And felt hurt.
Or felt isolated, abandoned, alone. Mm-hmm. And those are all feelings to feel through.
Right. Exactly. Mm-hmm.
But they can be addictive feelings from this physical realm.
Yes.
What a strong little mighty little virus this is that doesn't really hurt as many people in the physical realm, but what an opportunity and a gift this could be to lift our gaze after we get through this. And I know that not everyone will actually, not everyone will determine that this is the conclusion that will play out. But for those who do, wow.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We can all meet there after we've fought through this.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
And what an opportunity for a leap.
Yes. We were showing Rita a golf course earlier as you were coming to that awareness to enter this challenge the same way an experienced golfer would go to a new golf course that had a really challenging one that they had never played before, with multiple hills and sand traps and trees and ponds and everything else. And to want to take on that challenge for the betterment of their skills.
Mm.
Everybody can approach these life challenges in that way. And most are novice golfers, to use that analogy. So they feel it's too hard.
Mm.
And they don't like their high score. So they don't even try. And they say it's impossible.
Until they actually do reach a hole.
Mm-hmm.
And feel the feelings along the way.
Yes. Because they're left at the first hole and they see a few people advancing to the holes beyond. Because they've just sat down and say, well, I can't do it.
Mm.
And then they stay there as long as they stay there.
I imagine there's a lot to feel through on a very highly advanced golf course.
Mm. Right.
But really, in the end, it's just earth and hills and gravity and your consciousness with the ball and, the free will of the universe, trying to guide that however it happens. So, wow, what an opportunity just to see like how the randomness can play out and how this, I don't want to say randomness, but adding new wrinkles, how it can expand your idea of the intelligence of the way the spirit realm works. So,
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what everything is for. Opportunities to learn spirit and soul and God.
and then eventually we have golf courses that defy all of our principles of reality to navigate, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Tennis courts where the balls have consciousness,
Yeah.
which sometimes I think they do now. But that's usually when I do feel that the balls that I'm bouncing and hitting have consciousness is when I'm most connected to the game.
Mm.
Not to experience a result, but just to feel more connected to the entire process of it.
Mm-hmm.
I won't even say game, it's the process of it all.
All the properties.
All the properties.
Mm-hmm.
It transcends the scoring or winners and losers, and you're in a different realm. They call it flow here, but if I imagine like the whole court and the air on the court and the spirits in the court and the balls with consciousness and the impact of my racket as a cosmic collision, and I focus on that long enough on the tennis court and just keep that focus, the game goes on. It's prolonged. I feel like my body changes.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a healing, perhaps.
Yeah, it can be.
Hmm.
Everything we do, you do, we do, can be a healing.
Interesting. So it's just time to play badminton with our fear right now. Feel it.
Right.
Watch it soar through the air. Lift our gaze, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
As much as I feel like I've gotten some answers, I don't want to. I still have this feeling I have to humble myself. A new answer will come next time.
Yes, for sure. Because every time you release a false belief or something untrue, it opens up a space for truth and God's love if you allow it.
Now I'm starting to feel that again, right up in my crown.
Mm.
Perhaps this is that halo that is artistically rendered.
For sure.
Where did that even come from? That the halos of anointed angels and those who are worthy or not.
People were very differently connected at one time.
Mm.
And in some ways, it was more allowed to be connected to spirit.
Anything else? I don't feel like I have any more questions. Or that I don't need more commentary.
No, we feel that's a very good place for where you and Rita are right now. It's validation, a place to continue down the road you've been going. And we'll have more when you have more.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.